United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stephanie? Here. Carol?
Here.
Shelley?
Yeah.
Jenny? Here. Angela?
Yeah.
Jeff?
Here.
Thank you.
We'll move for motions to forego the reading of the minutes. Some things I saw, typos in there were Mr. instead of Mrs. In places. The rest of it I was okay with, as long as everybody else.
There was a name spelling that was incorrect as well.
How do I spell Finelli so I'm spelling it right? Because that was one of my problems.
F-I-N-E-L-L.
F-I-N-E.
L-L-I.
Yeah, L-L.
Okay, I think I didn't add the I on. So, is that the one?
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep. I kept looking at it and not finding it.
So is everybody? No?
No, I would like to, have this part taken out where it says, Mr. Duckett's time had expired. I think after that, it should not be in there. You know where I'm at? Amy, you know.
I'm finding it, Carol,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. I didn't know if you heard me, hon.
No, I did, I was still looking for it. It looks like it's on it's in residents' concerns. It was
Right,
when
that's
Adam was
correct.
speaking, so that starts on the second page
Right,
Down here.
and ends almost all the way at the bottom of
Yeah, the last
the next
paragraph.
one.
no, I just want the part where he says, Mr. Duckett continued to speak, and then he talked about me, and then, right before it says Mayor Fink hit his gavel, I want that part taken out. I don't think that's necessary. It has anything to do with the village.
It was said. It was said.
After 3 minutes of his time, yes.
Yeah, but when other people are commenting on your time too, it's not really their
You're
time.
not supposed to be doing that though, really. I just want it removed, thank you.
Did I see what?
No, I don't know where I'm at.
Okay, I'm gonna
Are we on
underline.
the second page?
Did you find it, Jack?
No. You have it, where are you at? Oh,
I think I'm down to
It's on page 3.
okay.
It's about a third of the way down on page 3. Right, somewhere right in there, right where you had your pen. Up, up. The other up.
Yeah, because that was
The
down.
14th line down. Thank you.
Oh, I see right there.
Right where it says on the 14th line, it'll say Mr. Duckett's time had expired.
Mhm. Right after that. Yep. Very good.
So this was said in the meeting. And it was
After the 3
recorded.
minutes.
So it's public record, right?
Mhm.
It's recorded.
She's asking it to be removed.
It's right here.
Which way we going there? I'm flip flopping, which way we going?
From one that was said, everything that was said.
Adam's time expired.
And now evidently it doesn't.
What was that?
Adam was talking about her line on a piece of paper to the judge, and she wants it taken out because it's
All right.
afterwards.
We're going to, it was in the minutes, so it was during a filmed or recorded session, so it will remain in the minutes. Is everybody okay then with amendments of Mr. and Mrs. and the spelling of Mr. Finelli to accept these minutes as written or amended?
Yes.
What's that?
That's 3 times reading.
Yeah. So they're good, or we're gonna forego the reading, make the amendments. And then move for a motion to accept the minutes with amendments.
I'll second.
Carol?
No.
Jenny?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Move for motion to pay the bills.
Oh, wait, that was just to forego the reading. You gotta accept them.
I just said move for motion to accept
I
the
gotta do them
minutes.
separate, I do believe.
Okay. Move for a motion to accept minutes with amendments. That's what I said last time. Just said that. No, I just said that. I just said,
All together.
well, we're good, go on.
So moved.
I'll second.
Angela?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Carol?
What am I agreeing to?
You're accepting the minutes.
No.
Stephanie? Yes.
We'll move on to resident guest concerns. We have a representative from AMP.
Yep.
Who I was not made aware of until now, but we will let him go first so he doesn't have to sit through the rest of the meeting. What?
You want me to pay the bills down below him? We haven't done pay the bills.
Just ask you.
Number 5.
American Municipal Power.
Thank you.
We didn't, I just moved for a motion to pay the bills. I thought we did.
No, that was to.
You guys get
Sorry, we're y'all off.
Move for a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second. Jenny?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Carol?
Yeah.
Stephanie?
Yes.
All right, now we will go on with the representative from AMP.
Mayor, members of council, thanks for having me. I'm gonna try to be as brief as I can. If I skip over something and go too quickly, Amy, I have those packets.
Oh, sorry.
Pass them down, yeah. There's some informational items in there that I'm gonna skip over. You know, feel free to read over anything in that and reach out to AMP if you have any additional questions. The purpose of this meeting is going to be give a brief update on all of your power supply portfolio and then discuss 2 power purchase agreements that AMP has negotiated on your behalf and on behalf of our other members and is up for subscription. It's worth noting it's entirely your decision to go through with the project. So. The first slide just sets some historical data. This number is the village's peak demand. Briefly, what that is essentially the 1 hour throughout the year where the village is using the most amount of power. And you can see from 2023 to 2025, that went from 1.15 megawatts up to 1.3 megawatts. Sounds small, but for the village, it is a little significant, and it does play into the factor for why AMP made this recommendation. And you can see on those days, 92 degrees, 96 degrees, 90 degrees, those are those really hot days when everybody's cranking their air conditioning and sitting at home, and all that good stuff. So. And then just that stat, the village's annual energy usage is about 5,000 megawatt hours. I'll spare you the calculations on all that stuff. The next chart just shows that data on a more historical basis. So you can see going back all the way to 2003, the village was peaking around 1.0 to 1.2 megawatts. That's actually pretty standard for most AMP members. Even if you had new residents come into town, as homes became more efficient over time, load growth was essentially flat. Briefly, I'm going to just touch on, and maybe for some of you who haven't had a chance to go through one of these power supply presentations, give a little bit of information on where the village is getting all of your energy from across the grid. So you can see that big orange section is Prairie State. That's a coal facility in the state of Illinois. Just to the right of that is a Blue Creek Wind PPA that's located up in Auglaize County. It's a wind project, and it's a power purchase agreement, so it's a little similar to what we're talking about tonight. And I'll get to that in a little bit. I'm going to skip over the net market real quick. The bottom right corner, that yellow, red, and green section are all 3 different hydroelectric plants, some on the Ohio River and then some in the state of New York. Then that purple bar is AFEC. That stands for AMP Fremont Energy Center. It's a combined natural gas combined cycle plant up in Fremont, Ohio. And then that maroonish color is called net market. Essentially, that's when AMP has to go on the open market and purchase additional energy for the town when you guys are using more than your resources are generating. Any questions on any of that so far? So typically, AMP recommends our members be anywhere from 10 to 15% on the market. Essentially why? We don't want to be completely off the market because these prices fluctuate, so we want to take advantage of when prices are really low. But we also don't want to be super exposed to the market when we see really high power prices. Like what happened in January, it was extremely cold. We saw prices getting in the $200, $300, $400 range. So we, like I said, we try to keep a little bit on, a little bit off, but we're essentially trying to lower that amount of market exposure for the village. The next two slides just give a little bit of details about the prices for all of your projects. You can see there's a big variety in them, all the way down from $10 for the NIPA project. Again, that's a hydroelectric plant up in the state of New York. It was built in the 50s. The reason it is so inexpensive and the cheapest resource for the village is because the debt service was paid off a very long time ago. And you can see the other two hydro projects, the one that JV5, which goes through 2029, that's a lower price and it'll get lower once that debt expires. And AMP Hydro is a newer facility, so there's still a lot of debt service the members are paying on those. Just real quick about Blue Creek Wind, I mentioned that was a PPA. The real big difference on what we're going to talk about today with the power purchase agreements and the projects is that you're physical owners, so the village is owners of all of these projects that I've mentioned. A power purchase agreement is you're simply just agreeing to purchase the power at a set price and agreed upon price. So if a tornado were to come through, wipe out the solar plant or wipe out the Blue Creek Wind facility, you wouldn't be strapped and saddled with all of these expenses to repair it. And in that event, we would just go purchase additional power on the market for you guys like we're currently doing. This next chart, just a little interesting statistic on power prices since 2000. This shows the relationship of natural gas and electricity. So you can see in the early 2000s, the United States was importing a lot of natural gas. We were anticipating and prices were climbing. But then we had the Marcellus Shale discovery of natural gas, and we saw and experienced really low power prices from about 2010 to 2021. That jump in 2021 is a direct result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. After that happened, countries like Japan and the European Union stopped getting their gas from Russia, and the United States started exporting it, which lowered the supply and brought up the price. And again, these are market prices, so you can see there has been a lot more volatility in that market since 2020. So that leads us to the next slide of why I'm here for our power supply planning strategy. These recommendations are made in mind to diversify your portfolio further than it already is, to mitigate risks and maintain your level rates. At the end of this presentation, we're going to show a comparison of the village's rates to AEP. And you guys are still significantly lower than AEP's published rates. So we're trying to take advantage and maintain those level rates for you folks. Just some quick info on the prices, the effective rate of the Bright Mountain Solar Project and the Potomac Combined Cycle. So about 45 to 50 for Bright Mountain and 50 to 60 for Potomac. Bright Mountain Solar is a solar facility located in eastern Kentucky that's currently being built. It'll be online by January 1st of 2028, which is when you would start receiving power, and that project goes through 2052. A little more simple for the Potomac Combined Cycle Plant. That's an existing natural gas plant located in Virginia. And it came online in 2017. Okay, so moving on, we're on slide 10. This chart essentially shows all of those resources stacked up through 2036. So that brown section up to the red is all of those projects that I had discussed before. And then those checkered blue and checkered black and yellow pieces would be the PPA and how they fit into your portfolio. You'll notice it's kind of a small percentage that we're recommending, about 10 to 15%, I believe. And the reason for that is, again, it's all part of our diversification strategy. We're not trying to expose the village to any one resource and face any potential risks for that. So this pricing chart on slide 11 is a pretty important one, and it shows how through the PPA we get our price down to $44 currently. So the energy charge the physical energy charge is $73. And then through capacity credits, and then RECs, and a REC is a renewable energy credit. Essentially, you're selling the right to call it green. It's something that our AMP members do because we know most of you are interested in getting the lowest prices possible on your wholesale power costs. And it's pretty typical for AMP members. You can still call it green, but officially it's not a renewable resource anymore once you sell that right. And there's a high value to that right, especially in states like Pennsylvania and Virginia. The Blue Creek Wind Project, the hydroelectric projects, we've been selling those RECs in states like Virginia for years, and we've been able to enjoy getting a lot of credit back and reducing the wholesale power costs for our members. And again, it's worth noting that the current forward 5x16 price, which essentially means market power, is about $60. So this project comes in with those credits at about $45. This is kind of an important slide. Do you guys have any questions on how we got to that? I'd be happy to provide additional information after. It's a pretty complicated process through all this, so I'm trying not to overwhelm you with any information. I also want to make a comment that it's hard to say things are standard, but because you guys have joined so many projects and you've enjoyed these lower rates for quite some time, this is a small percentage of your portfolio. So whether you decide not to join it or to join it, it's really not going to have a major impact, one way or the other. The goal is to keep your rates level.
I do have a quick question about the expectation of credits.
Yep.
Over the long term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so REC prices have been pretty robust for about 5 or 10 years now. The reason why there's so much forecast that they're going to remain higher is because there's been a lot of talk about putting industrial solar and all this stuff in, and it hasn't really come to fruition. So with how much companies like Amazon and Microsoft are adding to the grid with data centers, and it's a reality, the grid is strained. So all of these resources have really held their value. It's also worth noting that each state sets their REC prices, so it's more dependent on what's happening in the state than it is at the federal level. We know for different resources and regulatory actions, things can change. Again, that's also part of our diversification portfolio. The next slide, I'll just skip to that too, because I think that kind of shows like a best and worst case scenario. So that blue line, that is forecasted energy prices all the way out through 2050. AMP doesn't make these on our own. We use a variety of different external resources to make these forecasts. So the green line would be the best case scenario of those REC prices holding. So you can see basically from the start to the finish, it's significantly lower. And then all the way out through 2050, it's about $70 lower. I hate to say anything in certainty all the way that far out in advance. But then a worst case scenario would be the orange line. And let's just say that somehow the REC market were to completely evaporate overnight. We'd be starting just a few dollars over the current market prices. And then after a couple of years, since we're locked into that price, we're hopefully going to take advantage of being locked into that lower price compared to a higher price.
And remind me how long
The Bright Mountain goes, it's a 2028 to 2052. So there also is there's a little call out note here that from 2033 to 2052, the price does increase $5. That is reflected on that chart, on the previous chart. And these are average prices, so that is calculated into this, the existence of the project.
Mm-hmm.
So. Okay. We are on slide 13. For everybody to just do a quick check-in. So this is where solar REC prices in Virginia have been over the last year. So some variety, but anywhere from $25 to $31 all the way back in April. So there is a possibility too. Renewable energy is in demand. Companies that talk about who purchase these. So Fortune 500 companies who are trying to meet renewable energy goals for their shareholders are the ones that purchase these in mass. So you guys join the projects, get the credits. We sell to folks who value them more, essentially. And again, there's not like a massive development of renewable energy actually being added to the grid. We're hearing a lot about it. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. We hear it in our communities, but the reality is that we're not seeing this huge influx of megawatts onto the grid as was expected. Okay, I'll skip over this next slide. Like I said, the Potomac Energy Center PPA is a lot more straightforward. You guys are already in a natural gas combined cycle plant. You know, we wish we could have a ton more of those. They're so valuable. You know, they're really dispatchable during those hot days. They're really valuable. They're really reliable. Like I said, this is a newer plant, came on in 2017, so it's still got some life to it. And that price is a little bit higher. The 15-year average of this project is about $60. And again, there's natural gas not considered a renewable resource, so we're not getting renewable energy credits. However, and I did skip over this. I'm trying not to go too far on this, but capacity. Essentially, capacity is like an insurance grid for the policy to make sure there's enough energy out there for those really hot days. So if you generate energy instead of purchasing it from the market, you get credit for that. Natural gas plants are, they have a higher capacity value because they're more operational. You know, solar, the sun doesn't shine at night. It's cloudy, the output gets reduced, so their capacity factor is less. Okay. And then that next slide just shows where that price is compared to the market. I'm going to skip over the majority of the rest of this presentation. Transmission is essentially paying AEP to use their system to wheel our power here. And like I said, capacity is a pretty complicated topic. As being a part of the grid, we essentially pay an insurance premium to make sure that there's generators out there who aren't always operating but are available when we need them for those hot days. And every ratepayer, whether you're in public power, AEP, or a co-op, that cost gets passed down to the final customer. So I'm going to skip over through these slides. You feel free to review them and reach out to me if you have any more questions. Comparing slide 23 and slide 24 is the last thing I want to do today. AMP estimates based off of your current ordinances and customer charge that the average 1,000 kilowatt hour customer pays about 16.6 cents per kilowatt hour. The next slide shows what AEP has published their rates. They recently did a rate increase. It's at 20.5 cents per kilowatt hour. Like I said, the AMP members have, most of our members do enjoy that gap between the investor and utilities and the rates that you guys have published. So, does those seem right, up to date, that we have included?
Yeah, I think our electric might be a smidge cheaper than the 16.
Okay, yeah. It essentially takes because it considers the customer charge and then usage after that. So, you know, it would vary if a resident uses a lot more than 1,000, technically be lower, but less would be slightly more, but it essentially averages it out. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for me? Anything? Okay, I appreciate your time. Worth mentioning, the subscription deadline for these projects is the 24th, so that's why I was here today. But I will take off, and said Amy has my contact information, so if anybody wants to reach out and talk more about it, I'm happy to do that. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
Take care, everybody.
All right, back to resident concerns, Carol Murray.
This is about the Arcadia Cares Day coming up. I don't know if they could, but the South Railroad track on my side of it, 6 years ago, the railroad left a mess there and it's still there. All the way from Maine to Jocelyn, pieces of ties, just a mess. I just wondered if the school could clean it up, because I don't know.
Well, I was talking to the teacher who's representative for that today, and we were kind of throwing around like we did last year. Set trash out, stuff you didn't want, come around and collect.
That's what we normally do.
Right.
But is that on your property?
No, it's railroad.
It's
See,
railroad.
that's where it would be a little bit,
Yeah.
because it's not on,
Well, maybe you could call them, 6 years. It's been there.
we could do that. I don't know about putting the kids out there on that.
That's regular property.
If you want, it's the second railroad, the one furthest north,
The
correct?
one by the Pythian,
Oh, the one.
Oh, the one furthest south?
yeah, south one,
Okay.
on my side of the track.
Not the one
I think
closest
on your
to
side.
the other side.
Is it clean on your side?
There's a few ties, but it's not like her side.
Oh, no, it's bad.
Her
Okay, I was
side's
gonna say
really
if it's the
bad.
one further north, I would know who to contact for that, but the
No,
one
the
further
north
south, I
is nice
don't.
and clean, always is. They keep it up, but not the south one.
I'll reach out to somebody that I know that works on the north side to see if he can contact somebody about the south side.
Well, it's all NS, so.
Well, but they're all assigned different lines. But I could reach out to him.
Alright, so Teresa Margraf,
Yes, I just wanted to take an opportunity to mention to everybody that our church is, again this year having the farmer's market on Tuesdays. The first one will be June 2nd, and the theme there is a plant swap. The one on the 23rd of June is done in conjunction with our church ice cream social, so we do expect hundreds of people to attend that. And then we were also keeping our lot available for whatever works out for Memorial Day. We did have a date planned for a meeting, but that got canceled. So anyway, there's a possibility of 3 days in June. And the second one, with our ice cream social, we're trying to feature kids. If there's any child or kid entrepreneur out there, even a kid that has a 4-H project and maybe they have chickens and they have eggs to sell or something like that. So I'm reaching out to the FFA and 4-H to see if there's any kids there, but if you know of somebody, well, I think Matt, maybe has your son come up and sold produce with Barb? Yeah, so, I mean, that's the situation where we had an entrepreneur last year, but we're actually featuring one of our farmers market to where the kids, other vendors will be there, but we wanna try and highlight the kids, so I just wanna mention 4:30 to 6:30 on those dates and open to the public, and why pay a fee to set up when you can set up for free? That's our motto. So it's sponsored by Visit Finley and it's supported by our church.
Teresa,
Thank
you
you.
said those are on Tuesdays?
Big pardon,
Tuesdays?
always Tuesday.
Thank you.
Well, unless the Memorial Weekend is on a Saturday, Sunday. Thank you.
moving on to Seth.
My name's Seth Jacobman, as Mayor Fink said. I've been a resident of Arcadia since 2020. I wanted to speak today as there was mentions last meeting that the village is looking for someone to manage the website. I'd like to let council know that I would like to be interested, or I'd be interested in talking about this with them. I've been in the IT systems field for 13 years. This includes most recently being the IT administrator for Klaus Construction for 4+ years. Prior to that, I worked as a systems engineer for JEM Network Consulting out of Tiffin for 3 years and many others. While at JEM, I managed multiple companies and municipalities. These would include Fostoria City, Police and Fire, Limited Technologies, and even Burns Financial here in town. While I know the village is looking for someone to take care of the website, they may want to look into some more IT systems in general. Some of these items I would suggest the village to consider would be village managed and backed up archived email for employees and elected officials, as I think Mayor Fink put on the agenda for you guys to talk about tonight. Cybersecurity of all IT systems and networks, data retention policies, and network equipment age and reliability. These are some of the items that I may be able to help with the village with. I'd be willing to meet with council to discuss options and see where I could be of assistance. Thank you.
Lori Lucas.
Do these guys wanna go first? You guys? I was gonna say, I didn't get the memo on the dress code. Yeah, y'all were pretty nice.
Good.
Yeah,
Your item's first on the agenda, so you're fine.
okay. I just had a question. I come here to learn, And I understand that this portion of the meeting is for citizens or village members to speak up, and you have 3 minutes. I was looking online at the agenda, and the juicy stuff is coming up later that I'm just here to learn, that I might have a question for. And so my question is this the only time I can talk? Because it's going to be real hard if I have a question trying to learn. Aren't you allowed to ask questions during other stuff? Enlighten me, because I'm here to learn.
We're gonna discover that when we go in and talk to our new solicitor.
See, y'all are going to go first. There you go. Okay.
Okay, Dave Jenner?
I'm just concerned about residents in this town that are not upkeeping their properties. It's an eyesore. We got ordinance for all that. Are we pursuing that at all? Especially, there's a handful of them that are just getting pretty out of control.
Yeah.
And I hope we are doing something about it. I get tired of people telling me, man, your town's going down the tube, man. You know, I moved here because it was a nice town, but it seems like it's really going the other direction. Because nobody forces people to do anything around here. Can't even mow their yards or whatever happens.
We're gonna be heading in that direction, I believe. I mean, I did hand out letters, 2 years ago?
I know, but it seems like you don't keep this on, and it's like anything else, like a bad kid, you'll keep on, and he just keeps turning bad.
I think with some new leadership, we're gonna start seeing changes, so.
Alright, good deal. As long as I was still pursuing there.
Michelle Hangsteller.
I saw that are we gonna know what the code of conduct is after you guys discuss it? Will we have input in that? Cause you guys are gonna talk about it in executive session, sorry. Will we get an input? Will we get to know? I mean.
The code of conduct is gonna be set by the solicitor, so the meetings roll smoothly and.
Well, I mean, is it code of conduct for you guys too? Is it like you can attack somebody in the parking lot and because the meeting's over, it's fine? Or you're not allowed to say the F word, but you can throw the bird, is that okay? Or, I mean, are we gonna know what's okay and what's not okay?
I'm sure it will be made public to everybody. You can probably come up and get a copy.
Okay.
And then.
It'll say afterwards when they're not working, like when they're not, they should behave themselves even when they're not there.
We'll get to that point, and then you'll be able to read the code of conduct that was drawn up by the solicitor and his firm.
Thank you.
And Jim Margaret.
Yeah, which you should know, I've been trying to redo this corner lot that I purchased from Tappan Foods. And I'd like to put a building there, and I just wanna know what the proper procedure, I know in the ordinance, you're not supposed to be able to put a building in, it's not a house, but I want to know.
I would go see Scott.
I've talked to Scott, and he said you can't do it, but that's all the farther he said. But, I'm trying to replace the building that's there, and that's that old, carport. I wanna put something that's a little more safer to have stuff in. And,
So you've spoken with Scott?
yeah, and he said you know what Scott told me, he says, have him close the alley, then you can do it. So I don't know what you guys think, but if I have to go that route, I'll go that route, ask for the alley to be closed, so I can put that garage or storage.
Let me talk to Scott and see what his thinking is.
I'm not for closing alleys, but if that's the only option I got,
Okay.
it'd only be different than one just west.
Right.
The grass doesn't go anywhere anyway.
No,
I'll talk to Scott.
that's all I'm gonna need to
Alright.
see what you had to say.
I'll talk with Mr. Luke.
According to our zoning map, it's a business zone. So I don't know how many people are gonna put residences up in a piece of property that's owned business.
Alright, I will talk with Scott. We're gonna move on to executive session. I'm gonna invite everybody at the table. And Mr. Finelli
Might as
and
well start.
Cole
We'll
Thomas. We're going to discuss the solicitor's resolution, the code of conduct, personnel wages and benefits. And then, once that is done, we will invite Mr. Storer in and set him in here to have him hired for underman. So for everyone, exit. All right.
I guess there's.
This is April.
It's cool up there, he got used to it.
All right. Move for motion to accept resolution number C 2026, a resolution to contract with the firm of Hackenberg, Wirt and Bascott LLC as village solicitors for the village of Arcadia, Ohio for a period of 1 year, effective, well, beginning today, effective April 13th, 2026, and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
With the amendment, you just, okay, you did, you said it, you just didn't say it, the amendment, it's amended, go ahead. Jeff, second,
I'll second.
Shelley, Stephanie,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Jenny, Angel, and Jeff.
Jeff motion.
Oh my gosh. So many things today.
And then we are accepting the agreement, move for a motion to accept the agreement for legal services with Hackenberg, Worth, and Bascott. To be retained as village solicitor of a period beginning today through January 31st of 2027.
You need a motion for that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make it.
Second,
I'll second it.
Steph,
Yes. Yes.
no, and Jeff.
Yes.
Move for a motion to accept Arcadia Village Council rules of procedure with amendments, specifically in Rule 5, allowing 3 days' notice for a special meeting, and then omitting Rule number 27, which is compensation and unexcused absences.
So moved.
That's a resolution though, right?
This is just our code of conduct.
Okay, I thought there was a resolution, okay.
There's a
Sorry.
resolution adopting the attached code of conduct.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So it does need a
It'd be
resolution.
resolution number.
I'll second.
It would be, hold on, I need to get the letter, or the
Okay.
letter.
It's going to be D.
No, cause I've got those.
Oh.
That's, D, E, F, H. H, give it H. Okay, I'm sorry, Jeff, you did that one,
Correct.
second,
Carol. I will.
with amendments. Steph?
Yes, but I'd really like to know what Angela has concerns with.
It's not happening, nobody cared,
Jenny?
including the lawyer. You're saying that?
Yep.
So then move for a motion to accept resolution,
Uh,
are we done with,
yes, yes,
as H?
that was H.
So move for a motion to accept resolution 2026-H to accept the Arcadia Village Council Rules of Procedure as amended.
So moved.
Is it you,
Second.
Shelley? You got seconded, Jeff.
And then the
Steph,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
okay.
So then for wages and benefits, that's a I, to amend the personnel manual for vacation.
If you can make sure you guys keep a copy of the rules, the resolution and the contract resolution, and I'll make sure that the contract is reviewed by the managing partner, as long as he signs off and is good. So you have his signature, so you can see.
Your contract.
Yeah, you can see, scan it now, it's in the easier, but otherwise, the commission be excused.
Yep.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions from anybody, council? Y'all have information, happy to answer any other follow-up questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that'd be I, resolution. So then move for a motion to accept resolution 2026-I to apply Ohio Revised Code to vacation and,
Earning on hours and
vacation and sick hours. Overriding the
I would say earning vacation weekly by hours.
by pay. Right,
I'll figure it out then.
to amend to run by Ohio Revised Code to accumulate vacation and sick days for employees.
Motion,
I'll make a motion.
second,
I'll second it.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Jenny,
No.
Angela,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Vote for a motion to approve Matt's $1 an hour raise after his 30 days.
So moved.
I'll second.
Shelley,
Yes.
Jenny,
Yes.
Angela.
Yes.
Jeff, yes.
Sorry, Jeff. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Move for a motion to hire Andrew Storer as Matt's assistant at $18 an hour with the understanding that in 60 days he will be reevaluated. And starting tomorrow in his position.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Angela?
No.
Jenny?
Yes.
And then we're gonna move on to the fiscal officer report.
Okay. I passed out the reports that I do every month, the appropriation status, the revenue status, cash summary by fund, and the monthly fund balance. Arcadia Cares Day is coming up on May 15th, and I guess I'm gonna ask if we're gonna do a dumpster this year.
I was gonna bring it up in the new business, but yeah.
Yeah.
I spoke with the lady who runs the thing.
Taylor.
Yeah, and so she said, yeah, we're good with that.
Okay, so that's one part of the puzzle, and then the other part is that we normally, plant flowers around the town hall, and we also have some flower boxes around town. If we can get people to volunteer to help do those, we could do those too, but,
Are you doing that on the 15th also?
yes, this is Arcadia Cares Day, so we would get like a group of kids, is that something you would be able to help with, Shelley?
Yeah, it's a Friday, yeah.
So,
Remind me to, please.
bring what?
Remind me first of that.
Oh,
day,
I will,
because it's
I will,
only 15
definitely.
days from
Will
next due
they,
date.
will they have somebody like Aaron Eversole? There's always, usually somebody in charge of the kids too,
Yeah,
in the school.
Yes, but yeah, we have people here to help with the planting and,
That's a Friday, right?
so we can do both, I
Yes.
just wanted to make sure that we had people interested in
Okay.
being a part of that. Okay, and then the other thing is public records. So right now, here's my problem. When I get a public records request for emails, I can't, the code says I need to deliver it the way that we receive it. So it says that I have to deliver an email as an email. But I can't deliver an email as a public record that can be manipulated. If I send you an email, you can change all my words, all your words, it doesn't stay. But the code says I have to deliver it the way that we received it. But I do not have to change, if we had an Adobe program, I would be able to save those things as a document that would not be able to be altered. I'm not required to do that, but it might make things a little easier, if we did do that. So I'm asking council's decision on whether or not we are able to get like an Adobe software to be able to, give public records to people in that form. Am I confusing you?
I mean, you can't just
If
give
I
them, give them a
email,
file?
I have
you
to,
can't
I have to
save it?
chart, no, if I save it as, I do not have Adobe when I do, I can change things to PDFs, but only Adobe will change it to a PDF that cannot be manipulated. The PDF that I change it to, because I did send out about 5 or 6 pages that I thought were PDFs and then realized you could still manipulate them.
You can put a code on it.
Not with the reader, not with the.
Not with what I
she
have.
has. She doesn't have it password protected. She would have to buy the software that allows her to password protect it when she sends it.
I mean, if we have to have the software, we have to have the software, in my eyes.
What's the cost of that?
Did you look at, what did you say, $500-600 a year?
That's ridiculous.
It is, and I looked it up the other day and was trying to get like a municipality, discount. Stephanie called multiple times for me, I called multiple times. They would say, leave your number and we'll call you back. They wouldn't call back. They would let me be on hold for an hour and then they would say, we can no longer help you, and they'd hang up on me. So I spent a lot of time trying to get that information with no luck.
But just a regular consumer license for 2 people, 2 users, because they look at a number of users in your office, was $560, $560 something a year.
You're free to leave.
Oh, I wasn't sure.
Yep, you're free to leave and
Okay.
8 o'clock.
Come here?
Yep.
Okay, alright, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Is this something we want
Can we
to
just
get
do some
into
checking? Yeah.
further?
That's fine.
Yeah.
And it's because I have public records on the table, I guess I need to talk to,
Okay.
I do need to talk to the solicitor about those. That's fine. And that's all for me. I'm all done.
Administrator report.
Alright, so water receipts are 36,496.41, the expenditures were 18,941.47, and there was a gain for 17,554.94. Sewer receipts were 97,93.79, expenditures were 85,52.47, and with a gain for 12,41.32. Electric receipts were 75,190.33. Expenditures were 59,334.51. And it was a gain for 15,855.82. Had 39 delinquent accounts, accumulating to 12,638.66. 2 disconnects for non-payment. In the water area, we should probably, I should look at raising the water rates 6%. We did talk to the district last week. Sewer rates need to be raised. We need to think about doing an I&I study on the sewer lines. Electric would be the power switch and European power build. Streets, there's nothing to report. I'm asking council for a $20,000 tree budget for trimming and tree removals. The skate upgrades, we need to buy a bunch of water meters and a new locator.
And you did sample a locator. Right, so,
They all
it's
have
just a few,
resolutions.
what's that?
They all have resolutions.
Right, I'm just saying, so. Where are we gonna stand with the water district? I didn't get that email until too late to read any numbers.
That's not my decision to make.
Well, I'm saying, cause we're gonna purchase a locator. If we merge with them, they're gonna be our locating service.
Correct.
Will that happen overnight though, or will it be, like, if it's a year, he still needs it something
Right.
a year?
I have no problem with them getting the locator, we can sell that at some later point.
So does ours don't work at all then?
It works, but not very well. It's almost 20 years old. And he and Dave tried one. They had a salesman come in and both agreed that it was a much better, easier to use locator. So what was the price for that?
All my resolutions are in the back, yeah, and they're stapled together.
66. 6648.99. $1,700.
For these ones?
Oh, total?
I don't know.
For the current cases, just meters. The next one is
So we need the meters like now. We need the meters like now, man.
Well, I don't know. This is, there's a lot of things that. What has to do with this?
Okay. You wanna table this? Or do you wanna at
You
least do the
can't take-
locator?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
And wait on the meters and,
I'd like to start changing meters to radios, the ones that are manual rated are hard to read.
so,
But I mean, that's entirely up to you guys.
so we can do the resolution for the meters and the resolution for your locator.
And then you have the 50K for the.
Yeah, we'll put that on hold until we.
I would not put the
That is
water
okay.
SCADA on hold, that really needs to be addressed. Sorry, the sanitary is the only one that's not like,
The state has to do with the EPA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't want them having this again.
All right, so we'll move for a motion to accept resolution 2026-D, a resolution authorizing the village administrator to purchase water meters, setters, and ERCs for replacing meters and new services. Does everybody have that in front of them? It's an estimate of $7,101.40.
I'll move.
sorry,
I'll second it.
that was you, Shelley?
Sorry, yes.
Carol?
Yeah.
Jenny? Yes. Angela?
Yes.
Yes.
Move for a motion to accept resolution 2026-E, a resolution authorizing the village administrator to purchase a new underground utility locator,
I'll make a motion.
$6,648.99.
Second.
And I say that as the purchase we need to have, because Matt and Dave did, 8 locates one day? And with Amplex being here, that has really increased our oops tickets. So that would be beneficial. And then at some point, we don't need it.
Let me get mine down. Steph?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Jenny? Angela?
And then move for a motion to accept resolution 2026-F, a resolution authorizing the village administrator to contract with ProTech to install a new SCADA system to the water system.
That's the one that's gonna hit us.
Yes.
25,000.
So moved.
Well, does this need to be rewritten?
Why?
Because you said we weren't adding one to the
No, that's the
sanitary.
next one, Jeff.
There's two of them, there's
There's
one, a
another one for
sanitary and a
sanitary.
SCADA. Oh, there's a sanitary and there's a water.
The F is the water, the G is the sewer.
Who's my second?
So clarify on F then for me. Which one are we working on? G?
F is,
We're on F,
F is the water.
we're on F for the water.
Okay, so at the top, in the first paragraph, it says water system. In the fourth whereas, it says water tower.
Yeah, it's
Then-
the entire water, it's both.
Then in the now therefore, in section 1, it says sanitary sewer. So are we,
Nope, it's the water, I just was writing them at the same time, so.
well, I think we need to have the correct legislation.
What we do, I got it in there, I'll fix it. Second? Second. Carol, you say, I couldn't hear you, Carol.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yes.
Shelley?
I say yes.
Jenny? Angela?
My second.
Who seconded?
Yeah.
Jeff?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we'll just move on to the mayor's report. We've already touched
The sewer.
Not doing
No.
this, we're not doing this.
with that one.
You
They-
gotta
Put that on
take
hold.
the 20 from the trees.
We will, yeah.
Organic budget.
Move for a motion to give the administrator a budget of 20,000 for tree trimming and removal.
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
Thank you, Shelley.
You're welcome.
Jenny?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
I will actually have the rest of that next one.
So on the mayor's report, just to, in case you weren't, didn't know, there was some oil that came from Dave Roberts' property, leached across into the neighbors. Matt informed me, called the EPA. EPA said it has to be 25 gallons or more, on. Wasn't getting any results, so I called someone who was former EPA. They put us on track to get the ball rolling. And now we're still at kind of a standstill with the EPA. But so everybody knows, we were aware of it and we've done our part so far to try and get it rectified. Matt will still be hopefully working with the EPA if they call him back and that's kind of where we're at on that. Finance committee have anything?
No.
Infrastructure committee have anything?
Yeah, we met with Eric on the 14th to discuss a potential upgrade to the electric system. Eric is proposing to construct an addition on the east side of his current building that will require 1200 amp service, three-phase service. Currently, the village has three-phase electric at the west end of his property. Access to three-phase on the east side of his property will require the village to build the line in from the south about 364 feet. This will require possibly replacing a couple of poles, or replacing the pole at the rear of 301 South, with a taller pole to create an intersection and replacing the poles to the rear of 300 South Street with taller pole, heavier class, to support the structure to get the three-phase primary wires to the proposed location of the transformer. An addition of 1 or 2 new poles along the east side of Jocelyn Street may be required as well. Infrastructure recommended, we would like to recommend to council that we would like to see the system upgraded down there for Eric. This could potentially require an engineer to at least check to make sure the current wires can sustain the new load. A couple other things we talked about. Eric wants to replace the catch basin and tile on the east side of Jocelyn Street to the catch basin in his parking lot. He'd like to open cut the road to get the electric service through there. At the same time, he would replace the catch basin that's there and get it over into his driveway as well. He's potentially talking about constructing a new parking lot on the corner of North Street and Jocelyn, behind 300 South Street, and tie the parking lot drain into that catch basin and tile rebuild. So that's what we talked about for Eric's. I reached out to Denny Holman as well about the pavement on 254. They were gonna meet that night, and it sounded like they had kind of gotten past that part of the project this year, and that they might have looked at other roads to do this year. And I never heard back from him, so I'm gonna assume that they decided that they're not interested in doing that road this year. So maybe we'll talk to them next spring, and if they're still interested, we'll try to get it in next year's. But I never heard back.
You got any projected date of Eric's?
He would like to start moving on this as soon as he can. So I mean, I think probably we need to have, Matt kinda, maybe while Dave's still here, kinda go down, maybe get some numbers together and figure out what the village needs to do.
The building will be up before winter. The parking lot will be done.
So you go meet with Eric?
Already did.
Oh, you already did, gotcha. All right, you know where we need to go then?
Yep.
All right.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, old business, we wanna discuss the website.
Just that I had given you a quote, that's all I've gotten, but he also expressed some interest, so I'd like to get a quote from him.
So wait, put that off till next meeting then?
I would, but nothing's been updated because I don't have any time to do it,
Minutes can be gotten up here
but it
for
also
the time
says,
being.
it also says on our legislation that's on the website, so. Under construction. There you go, Matt, you do.
And we need
So-
to,
Seth, if you can get us a quote, that would be great, and we'll have two quotes. Cause we have to make it ADA compliant too. That's coming in 2027.
does anybody have a problem if we just I put this new business on the next agenda, except for the AMP, which we need to address tonight?
Well, we already did Arcadia Cares,
Right,
right?
that one's done. Summer help, I'm just going to speak to that real quick. I know there was one application here. 3 other kids asked me about it just a couple days ago, and I said, you just come to Village Hall. So until we get a couple applications, Matt and I will hopefully interview before our next meeting, and then we will have a discussion on who's hired and how we're gonna compensate them then, because they're still in school after our next meeting, so we'll address that way. And then what we need to do with AMP.
I just need you guys to decide whether or not you wanna move forward with those 2 projects or you don't.
because last month we said we would have a time present, so we knew what was going on. So I think we need to put our, update our portfolio. So that we don't have so much open market. Cause then that just makes our prices go higher.
So you like to ideally both of them then?
The one's more expensive, but how are you gonna get away from more expensive? You can't right now.
Anybody opposed picking them up?
Now, it was what, 8% on each one
I
was
think
the
it was 10.
recommendation?
I wanna say it was 10, but that didn't make sense when he showed us that pie.
I've got too many papers to figure out where they're at right now. I think I found mine. So on page 9, Bright Mountain 2028 through 2052 will be 8% of our energy supply, 200 kilowatts.
Oh,
Tell me,
I remember when they explained it to me before, it was like, one of them is actually gonna be used more in the winter, and one would be used more, obviously the solar would be used more in the summer.
correct,
So they kinda, the way they were working, it was to, like, kinda fill those ends of the year.
yeah, but so it's 8%, so whether you're using 8%
In the
during the summer
winter or
and
the
then-
summer,
yeah.
yeah.
I think we need to get a little more off the market. You know, we're at, what, 18% or something like that?
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to be down around that 10% or 12% or something. Is that two separate resolutions?
We passed them last time, yeah.
Okay.
So as long as no one has any, doesn't, not want to do it, then we'll let them stand the way they are. We're good to go then.
So you wanna know if anybody opposes?
Yes, cause we already passed them, we would only, not do it if someone really did wanna do it. Okay. I have a quick question before we adjourn. The Adobe that we talked about is like, if Jenny said she'd help me look up some better prices, is there a price range that you'd be more comfortable with if Jenny finds it? So that I can move forward with it instead of wait till the next meeting? Not necessarily.
I actually don't think $350 for a year is bad for a business.
For two
I know,
users.
but that's for non-business people. We couldn't get the corporation
We couldn't get that price.
department to
Gotcha.
answer.
So that's all I'm asking, if I can find if there's a price I find it for, that seems more realistic, I'm asking what that number would be. Cause 600 seemed like a lot, and it may be where it's at, it may not change, I'm just asking.
I'm thinking if you could do $350, that'd be a better price.
I agree with that.
Okay, so thank you very much. I just wanted some guidelines there.
I mean, I'll double check with the sources, the other sources that I have besides just Adobe, they're not calling us back.
Okay. Thank you.
Move for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Hold on one second. Steph, was that, who was down there? Carol?
You got it.
Yeah.
You did? Oh my gosh, I thought it was Steph.
I was waiting for you to.
Steph? Yes.
I said it first.
She made the motion.
I thought Carol said she did.
No, she made the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's what I thought,
I said so moved. I said yes.
I got it. Angela said yes, Jeff said yes.
Yes.
We're all good.
We all said yes.
Sorry.